Residents of Maple Street were used to quiet routines. Every morning, people headed off to work, kids biked to school, and cars slipped in and out of driveways without much notice. But one car broke the pattern. A green sedan appeared across from Abby's house, and it never moved. No one claimed it, no one touched it. The longer it sat there, the more unsettling it became, until Abby found out what was going on. Before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. The car had appeared one night without warning and then simply refused to leave. That, Abby quickly realized, was only the beginning of the strangeness, because after its arrival, even stranger things began unfolding, one after another, like ripples spreading from a stone tossed into a pond. She couldn't help it. She was fascinated. Each day, her eyes sought the car, wondering why it remained there. Surely people didn't just abandon cars like this, right? Abby's quiet neighborhood was not the kind of place where strays roamed in packs. In 10 years, she could count on one hand the number of stray dogs she had seen, and none ever lingered. But one night, the sharp sound of barking jolted her awake. She crept to the window, heart racing, and there they were, at least 7 dogs circling the green car like sentries. The dogs didn't scatter or wander. They paced constantly around the car, forming a shifting ring as if bound by some invisible tether. Abby leaned closer to the glass, unsettled. The dogs weren't distracted or curious. Their focus was absolute, like something was drawing them in. Abby stayed glued to the window while lights flicked on all up and down the block. She knew the neighbors were frustrated. Angry shouts rang out from open windows, demanding the dogs leave. But the animals didn't budge. No amount of yelling scattered them. They ignored every voice, every command, and simply kept up their endless patrol around the green car. By morning, Abby expected the dogs to vanish, but they didn't. Instead, they collapsed in loose circles around the sedan, lying in watchful rest. Even as the neighborhood stirred back to life, the dogs refused to move on. Residents shuffled past carefully, keeping wary distance as they reached their cars. By mid-morning, the street was mostly empty again. Only the green car remained parked, the dogs resuming their endless circling. Abby told herself it was idle curiosity keeping her glued to the window, but it wasn't. Something about the dogs' strange behavior pulled her thoughts back again and again. It wasn't hunger, they weren't sniffing trash or scraps. It wasn't aggression either. They weren't attacking or fighting. Instead, they seemed almost devoted. The mystery only deepened with every hour. Abby tried to convince herself that it was nothing. Dogs were unpredictable creatures, and yet deep down her instincts whispered differently. The following morning, Abby lingered by her front window, watching as the last neighbors drove off to work. Once the street was empty, curiosity tugged at her. She stepped outside and walked slowly toward the green sedan. The dogs circled it steadily, ignoring her at first. Emboldened, she mimicked their movement, pacing with them around the car. But the moment she reached for the handle, everything changed. The dogs stiffened. Their ears shot up. Barking erupted sharp and directed at her. A few stepped forward, lips curled in warning. Abby froze, then backed away toward her porch, heart pounding. From the safety of her front steps, she gripped the railing. The dogs had only reacted when she touched the car. They were guarding it. If she wanted to get inside, she'd need a distraction. The thought unnerved her, but the mystery gnawed stronger than fear. She fetched an old wire hanger and bent it into a crude hook. It wasn't perfect, but it might reach the lock through the passenger window, which was slightly cracked, just half an inch, but enough. Still, she hesitated. This was illegal. Breaking into a car wasn't something she ever imagined herself doing, but she wasn't stealing, just looking. Outside, Abby walked up and down the block, scanning windows for any sign of life. The street was still. Satisfied no one was watching, she returned home, clutching the hanger more tightly. It was time. With a deep breath, she hurled the meat across the street. It skidded across the pavement, landing several meters from the sedan. The dogs lunged after it instantly, paws scraping the asphalt, abandoning their post. Abby didn't wait. She rushed to the car's passenger side. The small crack in the window glinted. She slid the hanger in and twisted carefully. Glancing back, she saw the dogs tearing at the meat, but it wouldn't hold them long. Her muscles burned, nerves stretched thin. She whispered to herself, just one good hook. That's all. Then came the sound. She dreaded claws tapping the pavement. One dog had already turned back. Her hands shook, but she forced the hanger deeper and twisted. Then click, a faint, perfect sound. The lock popped up. Abby scrambled into the passenger seat, knees bumping the dashboard, and slammed the door shut. The lock clicked loudly in the enclosed space. Outside, the dogs leapt and circled the car. They barked at the windows, but it sounded different, now less aggressive, almost approving, as if they'd been waiting for her to succeed. She turned her attention to the car's interior, determined to find out what the dogs were guarding. She opened the glove compartment empty. She checked the cup holders, under the mats, even beneath scraps of carpet. Still nothing. Not ready to give up, she moved to the back seats. She searched beneath the cushions and folded the seat forward to reveal the trunk. It was bare. Doubt crept in. She whispered under her breath, questioning what she was even doing. She'd broken into a stranger's car and found nothing. Still, something told her this wasn't over. Then her fingers brushed something thin and papery beneath the driver's seat. Her heart jumped as she pulled out an envelope. On the front, in shaky handwriting, "To whoever managed to get into my car, open this up." The message was clear. This car was placed here deliberately. The owner had planned for someone to find it, to get inside. The handwriting was uneven but intentional. "I placed this car here for you. I even ordered my dogs to draw attention to it. If you're reading this, then my plan worked." Abby blinked. The dogs weren't strays, they were trained. The whole thing had been orchestrated. Every instinct screamed at her to stop. Someone had lured her this far, and now they wanted her to go even farther. And yet, she couldn't shake the pull. Almost without thinking, Abby slid into the driver's seat. The key fit the ignition perfectly. With a satisfying click, the engine rumbled to life. Its sound, both an invitation and a warning. She pulled out her phone and typed in the address, her thumb hovering over the glowing screen. Something inside her had already made the decision. Abby shifted, the gear into drive, hands steady but pulse racing. The car rolled forward, tires crunching against pavement. She checked the mirrors, expecting nothing, only to see shadows shifting along the sidewalk. Her grip tightened. Something felt wrong, like the mystery was following her. Then the shadows solidified. The dogs hadn't stayed behind. They were chasing her, paws pounding in rhythm with the car. After 20 tense minutes, she entered unfamiliar streets, lined with crumbling buildings. The GPS directed her onward. She slowed as the destination approached and parked at the curb. A weathered sign swung gently in the wind. Brimworld Fabric and Tailoring. The structure loomed, bricks stained with time. Her throat tightened. "I guess that's where I must go," she whispered. She pushed the heavy door. It opened. Inside, dust hung in the air. Light filtered through cracks. Ahead, a staircase climbed into shadow. Abby placed her hand on the railing and began to ascend. Halfway up, a sound behind her made her freeze. Footsteps slow and multiple. She turned quickly. 7 dogs were padding up the stairs, eyes calm, tails wagging gently. They hadn't abandoned her. They were still with her, leading her deeper into the unknown. They passed her silently, moving with purpose. Abby followed, unsure whether to feel dread or relief. But not everything was old. Among the debris were signs of recent life. Food wrappers, a folded blanket, empty cans stacked neatly in a corner. Someone was living here. At the far end of the room, she saw him. A man sat cross-legged near a small camping stove, its flame flickering faintly. The man looked up, calm. He said nothing at first, and the silence stretched. It felt heavy with meaning, like he had been expecting her all along. Then he spoke, his voice even and almost gentle. "Come, sit," he said, gesturing to a crate across from him. Abby's heart pounded, but she moved forward. "And Saturday, my name's Cade," he said. "This place, it's been my home for a few days, at least for now." His words carried no threat, only calm acceptance. But Abby's thoughts raced. The place looked like a trap. Cade shifted slightly, resting a weathered hand on the head of the nearest dog. "I'm homeless, sort of," he said, voice softer now. "Before I left that green sedan in front of your house, it wasn't just a car. It was home for me and all 7 of these dogs. They're not strays. They're my companions, my family." He stroked the dog's fur slowly. "Every mile I've walked, they've walked beside me." The way the dogs pressed close made their bond undeniable. Cade stirred the pot of beans. "I'm pushing 70 now," he said quietly. "Taking care of 7 dogs, it's too much. I can't give them the life they deserve, not anymore." His voice held no bitterness, only sorrow. His hand trembled slightly as he stirred. "They need more than I can give." Abby sat still, heart tight. Cade leaned back with a faint smile. "So I made a plan, reckless, maybe. I left the car in a nicer neighborhood, hoping someone would notice, someone who wouldn't walk away." His eyes met Abby's. "That someone was you." Abby's throat tightened. Cade had crafted this path, and she had followed every step of it. None of it had been chance. "You came all the way here," he continued, which means you're different, open-minded. You followed the thread. Then, gently, he made his request. I want you to help me find them real homes. People who can love them, care for them. I've still got love to give, but my body can't keep up. He wasn't asking for himself. He was asking for them. Abby sat in silence. The strangeness of the journey had faded, leaving only this raw, human moment. To Cade's surprise, she didn't hesitate. She agreed to help and went beyond. In the days that followed, Abby returned often. She brought food and clothes. She trimmed Cade's hair, stayed through long silences, and listened when he talked. Slowly, she pulled others in calling shelters, spreading the word. Her help wasn't charity, it was connection. She treated Cade as a friend, not a burden. And one by one, the dogs found new homes. But not just any homes. Families who made a promise Cade could visit. Over time, a new rhythm formed. Once a week, Cade met them at the park. His old companions would race toward him, tails wagging, pressing against him with joy. The bond hadn't broken, it had simply changed. Cade laughed, the sound full and unburdened, lighter than Abby had imagined possible. She stood at the edge of the park, watching the reunion, heart full. She had followed a mystery, stepped into the unknown, and found something better than answers. She had found purpose. The story that began with a hidden envelope had written itself into something new. A chapter built not on fear or danger, but on connection, compassion, and change. And Abby knew, as she watched Cade smile, that the story wasn't finished yet.